Good morning, heavenly humans. How are you this morning? Oh, again, I'm reaching out to the public, to whoever wants to listen, whoever want to keep it real. Okay, this is a Glenn Cobbin Senior One Heartbeat podcast. Oh, stemming his demonstrating the foundation of human, animals, and plants living nature coexisting and living together as one. Of course, we came from nature, so we can't do nothing but live with it. But we're trying not to abuse each other. We try not to abuse the animals in nature. We try not to abuse human beings, and we have to be very mindful of it. In my opinion, of course, these are the things that the One Heartbeat podcast is trying to relate to the public, to the people, to whoever wants to listen, whoever wants to change, whoever wants to be equal and justice and peaceful. We're sponsored by Destiny of Hope, helping our people excel, and also um, Limbs Limo LLC on Brandon Cobbins. We're really trying to this morning. We got a touchy subject, but it's a real subject. You know how I am. I keep it 100. I try to, and if I don't, I wouldn't. I want my listeners or whoever is out there want to respond and comment. I appreciate it. I appreciate the criticism. I appreciate you critiquing it. I appreciate the compliments. I appreciate your school of thought. Whatever comments you got, it's welcome here. It's nothing that I'm trying to be facetious about. I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm trying to be upfront and honest about everything that I do. I want to live a righteous life. I want to be productive in this world. Lord knows I've been counterproductive. So I've given my heart out, in my opinion, and even opinions of fact. I put my heart and soul in people in general, and also the most impressed people that I ever seen was the black man or black people, especially the black male. And you see what's going on in this world right now. But you know what? Today is the name of it. What's love got to do with it? That's what I'm going to name this podcast, because it's going to cover a wide range of things. Especially stuff like what's going on in the world with we always getting killed by police officers. And and you got a lawyer running around town here, eating up all these cases and making all this money and for good cause. And I take my hat off to him. Don't get me wrong. But we got family. You can't buy back life. You can't buy love. You can't buy these type of things that are happening in the world. That's the peace and justice issues. We standing on it, man, as a whole, as a people. But you know what? I get that and I love that. Don't get me wrong. But we need to love each other before it gets to that point of murder and death and mayhem or a serious injury or mental health issues or anything that harms. We got to love each other while it's harming, before it harms. And that's the reason I'm doing this podcast this morning. I hope everybody just stay open minded with me. And my favorite saying, which my friend Dana don't like: the world, the mind is like a parachute. It only works if it's open. Now when you go 10,000 feet in the air and you happen to close that parachute up, well, you know exactly what's going to happen. You're going to crash, of course. Okay. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get down to the meat of it. Again, this is the Glenn Cobbin Senior One Heartbeat podcast. We're trying to demonstrate how human, animals, and nature can coexist. Of course, we're one and the same. If we hurt one, we hurt all. If we love one, we love all. If we help one, we help all. So we have to respect one another and be loyal to one another. We got to be loyal to nature, and we got to be loyal to the animals, and we got to be loyal to one another first and foremost. So the name of this is What Love Got to Do with It. Okay, now that's a hot topic to me, because we think about love. What do we really think about? What does it mean? How does it exist within our own self? How do we portray it into the world? How do we demonstrate love to our spouses or to our girlfriends, to our boyfriends, to our family, to our brothers and sisters, to animals or to nature? So the reason I say what love got to do with it and what does it really mean? I mean, do you like a person? Does like got anything to do with it? Do friendship and loyalty and respect have anything to do with it? You know, if you say something that I don't like, or I say something you don't like, do you stop talking to me? Do you stop calling me? Do you stop, just being who we were before we got into something that we shouldn't have got into, or we said something that we shouldn't have said, or we did something we shouldn't have done? What love got to do with it? Or how are you keeping it 100? Are you keeping it real? So that's what the subject is all about. So let's get jump right into it. My first bullet point today: who's keeping it real? Now, okay, I don't really get into the Facebook thing. I share these podcasts on Facebook because I know people listening, or people may look and they say they my friend on Facebook, or I'm their friend on Facebook. But oh man, I've seen so many people and I've heard so many conversations, and I usually don't say nothing to people because people, if you listen to some of these podcasts, I got one called Tolerance. I tolerate whoever you are is just who you are, and it ain't my job to point out or to judge you. I say it like that. Now, I do believe in one thing. I believe God said to admonish your brother, because everything that I do is the foundation of the Creator, and I try to make that known. And whatever your religious beliefs are, is on you. There's no compulsion in religion, so whatever you believe is just who you believe. Like, I'm doing Ramadan right now because I love Islam. I took my kalima shahada, so yeah, I'm Muslim, and so I know that in order to reconnect with God, they got a thing called Ramadan. It's a 30-day fast, so I'm doing that right now. So that's why I might be a little dry this morning. I usually don't put no grease on these big lips of mine. That God created these big, beautiful lips. You know what I mean? But I figure I get on the show today. God ain't gonna get too mad at me if I put just a little Vaseline on them. So it won't be so dry. But other than that, I am dry. Trust me. And so, and so I've seen these social posts or whatever you call these social media posts that everybody's happy and feeling good and this, that, and the third. But you go down the street in the neighborhood, they talking about each other. They talking behind each other's back and all this type of stuff right here. Well, that to me is not cool. That to me ain't cool. If you're gonna be cool on Facebook, be cool outside of Facebook. If you're gonna be a gangster on Facebook, be a gangster outside of Facebook. If you're gonna be a preacher on Facebook, be a preacher outside of Facebook. What I'm saying, who's keeping it real? Who's keeping it 100? You know what I mean? And I got one of my friends calling in right now. I'm gonna have to call on this phone right here and see if I can get her to say something. But I doubt she does. But at any rate, we're gonna keep it moving because that's what we do. Okay? And so, look, I never tried this, but I'm gonna call in.
Yes, sir.
Hey, that is Chris Style. I'm on this Glenn Carvin Senior One Heartbeat podcast, Chris Style. You just called in, so guess what? You on my podcast.
Oh, hey. What's up, world?
I've been asking Chris Style, y'all, to get on here. And Chris Style, she been running from him, but she called in, and now I got her right in front of his mic. So go and say hi to the public.
Hey, public, what's going on?
Yeah, she's my buddy, man. She's one of the realest, okay? In my opinion now, look, I'm just telling you how I feel. How you feel is how you feel. So what's going on with you this morning, Chris Style? I'm gonna give you about 30-second window here.
Yoga, just went to API, got a little workout, trying to keep my mind, body, and spirit on the upside. So, just doing my morning routine.
Okay, Chris Style, that sounds good, man. That's what I'm doing too. I'm trying to get it back together. This is the last round for me, Chris Style. What about you?
Shit, I got plenty more in me. I'm up right now. I'm trying to stay up.
Okay, well, that's what's going on. Chris Style, look at here. We're doing the One Heartbeat podcast, and the subject today is what love got to do with it. Is everybody keeping it real? What about if you're a lover on Facebook or social media, then outside in the neighborhood, y'all at each other's throats? So that's my first bullet point. You have anything to say about that?
What's love got to do with it? Not much, because love is an emotion, and just like every other emotion, it's not more important than anger or confusion or anything. Therefore, love don't got really much to do with it, because at the end of the day, I could love you 1 second, I could hate you the next. I mean, it is what it is. I don't really feel like love. People put too much emphasis on love. At the end of the day, like, people who love you 1 second, they can hate you the next moment. So they were dangerous. People who you love were dangerous to you.
Wow, did y'all hear that?
You're open to people and you express emotions and they know your fears and they know your moves, and people that you hate and you keep kind of further away from you, they less dangerous. Love is dangerous.
But is this supposed to be dangerous? Crystal, can you come in on that for me, please?
It's not supposed to be, but at the end of the day, if you take big risks, you're going to get big rewards. And so sometimes you're going to love the right person and it's going to be very rewarding, and sometimes you're going to love the wrong person, it's going to be very detrimental.
Wow, okay, let me ask you one more question before you get off the air, Crystal.
Okay.
I know you and I talk a lot. Now, you know a little bit about spiritual love, and that's God's love, and societal love. Do you think that man have crossed that line, or what? How can you compare societal love to God's love?
Okay, so my phone was beeping, so the last question I didn't
Okay,
hear.
I said, how can you compare societal love to God's love?
It's unconditional. Clearly, like God's love is unconditional. So, whenever you can reach like the point of your life where you receive God's love and you're open to it, then you realize what real love really is. The unconditional love that, then your fears are released. You're at whole, at peace. Then you don't have to worry about human beings and society and that nature, because nothing's greater than God.
Oh, so, my God.
What love are you going to seek after His?
There you go. That's what I'm talking about, y'all. That's Crystal Johnson. Okay, I love that. I wish you were here to finish this podcast off with me, Crystal. But you the first one I'm doing this with. I hope it turned out good. I will let you know.
Okay, it will. Anything you're connected to gonna turn out good. We already know.
I love you. Keep it up, girl. I'll be talking to you later on. All right. Peace. Yep. That was Crystal Johnson, y'all, and she gave some really good points about love, the unconditional love that the Creator give us. It's different than societal love that man has curtailed to be his way of thinking, his form of love. So, hey, that's something to think about. Spiritual love versus societal love. Hey, that sounds like another coupon, don't it? So let's go ahead. Let's keep it 100, y'all. Okay, we always said that who's keeping it real, who keeping it 100 with the person that you're with your spouse, with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, or anything that's that can, that in a relationship, who's really doing what they're supposed to be doing, who's really making things happen, who's really keeping it real with the next individual. Are you doing anything behind? Are you loyal? Are you demonstrating infidelity? Are you being loyal to are you being facetious about your relationship? Are you playing, on your husband or your wife? Are you lying to them? Or, do you have their best interest at heart? Do you wake up, and feel them, in your spirit? Who's keeping it like that? So if you're not getting all that good stuff and that romantic stuff and that stuff that ain't so hardcore that it makes you think that there's no romance in it, there's no affection. You know what I mean? Are you putting all this together? Are you doing the rose petal, the baths, the massages, you know what I mean? And the candle lights and the steak dinners and the shrimp cocktails. Are you doing all these things in your relationship? Are you putting them first? You know what I mean? Are you doing these type of things? Are you keeping it 100? That's all I'm saying. So that's a point where we all got to ask ourselves. We got to look in the mirror and say, hey, you know what? It's something to think about. If I'm in a relationship, regardless whether it's my brother, my mother, my sister, my cousin, or if it's a store owner, whoever it is, am I being genuine? Am I being transparent? So that's what I mean by keeping it real. When people can see who you are, they can see that light from your very aura. Are you that light? Are you that one that's gonna be fair and just, so there can be a peaceful outcome for both sides? Or you think you're doing something clever and slick, so they can't see what you're doing, but and they the one that's being loyal, and they're loyal. That's why you trust them. But they trust you because they trustworthy. You know what I'm saying? So all these things add up, man. And are y'all dialoguing and talking and having conversations about who y'all are, who y'all supposed to be, what your goals and objectives are? Are you doing these are y'all praying together? Are y'all praying together? You know, back when I was going to St. Paul AME Church when I first got to Columbia, Missouri, you know what I mean? Because I'm a Boot Hill boy. Everybody knows that. I'm a country boy. You know, so when I got down here, when I got up here, you know, we going to church, and you know, it always was something there that was, you know, that there was a God in my life some kind of way. You know, and I got away from it. Don't give it for 23 years, you know, in some type of probation institution, whatever it was, you know, parole or prison, you know. I went through all that stage knowing that God, I knew better. And I kept doing it, man, because man only tempted by his own selfish desires, man. So my selfish desires took me to the street. I wanted to know this about drugs and women. I wanted to know this about guns and violence. You know what I mean? About gambling. I did everything that I call Iblis or Satan or the devil or Lucifer that he wants you to do. So in this podcast, the Glenn Cobb Senior One Heartbeat podcast, you know, sponsored by Destiny of Hope and Liam Zimmer LLC, we want you to know that you could be who you are, but there's two entities down here, and one was only created and one wasn't created. So the creator of the one was given this land, this earth, so that he could do what he had to do to divert us from the straight path. And that's the devil. So are we serving this devil? Are we being fair and just to our fellow man, to ourselves even? You know, how can we say we love somebody when we're a liar or a cheater or a thief or a gambler or a dopehead? How can we say we love them people over there when we ain't showing love to our own self? So these things I've learned, you know, and I'm still learning, guys, and pray for me and I pray for you. But I'm telling you right now that we have to come together as individuals that want to be on another level with God so we can have a chance at this next life, because this is only a probationary period. And I'm not trying to turn this into no sermon, but I'm telling you, this is the podcast that I want people to comment on to critique. You know, to like or not like or whatever the case may be. I can handle it. I'm a big boy. But I want you to come in. I can be reached anytime you ever want to talk to me. Or not want to talk to me or want to reach me. You can email me. You can get me on Facebook, or calling me is what I like, because I love voices. I love body language. I like to meet with you in person. I love body language. I love eye contact. I love all that good stuff that let me know you 100. 573-268-5192. And that's what it's all about with me. So let's get on to this next one. And so the next thing that, okay, we say we're keeping it real, what love got to do with it. But how can we tell? We just went through this. Just say, let me put you in a situation that I like to be in, you know, that I have been in, that I want to get back in one day with a spouse, you know, and I'm saying spouse now, okay, because a spouse is going to be my wife, and I'll be her spouse, I'll be her husband. Okay, I want to get into a relationship where I know that when I wake up, what I'm waking up to and with is something that I like to see, that I like to feel, that I like to talk to, that I like to serenade, that I like to give massages to, that I like to be loyal to, that I like to trust. You know what I mean? That's the type of person that I want to wake up to. That's the type of person that I want to get back into when it's all said and done. And if it don't happen, so be it. It's God's choice now. It's God's choice, and that's the bottom line. And, and I'm not trying to be bigger than nobody or smaller than no one. That's just my life. And I got the right to say what I want to say about my life, And so in saying that, how can you tell that person want to be the same? Well, you know that you put all of it together, you study, read, you pray, you meditate, you fast, right? And so then whatever God rests upon your heart, that's what you serve with. You serve that goodness to that next person, to that person that you so-called love, And then, love is so fragile, because we can start loving a person and then that person could become our God. That ain't the type of love that God wants to have. See, God's a jealous God, say in the Bible. So therefore, he don't want you to love no more anything or anyone more than you love him. Because when you do, that becomes your God. So if you're not loving God first, you can't love that person you're laying with, or you a brother to, or a mother to, or a son to, or uncle to, or cousin to, or nephew to, or niece to. You understand what I'm saying? You can't do it. It's virtually, spiritually impossible. Now, you can think you can because man have twisted this thing more than anything I've ever seen. Now, man have twisted love. He twisted money. He twisted greed. He's twisted laziness. He's twisted everything you can think of. That's what man has done. Because every other thing that breathes, nature and animals, I'm talking about the storms, the clouds, the sun, the rain, the trees, the grass. It does exactly what God tells it to do. Man was given the ability to reason and rationale so he could have dominion over everything. And look what we do. We screw it all up. We separated each other. Separate ourselves from each other. Then separate ourselves from nature. Then separate ourselves from animals. So you think God ain't... He's pretty pissed off right now. Okay, so let's go on past that one more, So we're talking about how can you tell? Well, that's how you can tell. And then if you all are praying together and got that same goal and are communicating, it may be a little difficult at times, but for the most part, you know that you're not going to hurt that person. If you're hurting that person, I ain't talking about, now if you hold the truth up to them, they can't take it, that's a different thing. But if y'all praying together, they'll be able to know that your best interest is her and her best interest is you. Or vice versa, or my brother's brother. I want for myself what I want for my brother, but I want the goodness of God for me first. Now I can say that and don't qualify it. I'm saying that this comes from God Almighty, because if I say I want for my brother what I want for myself, and I want a joint, or I want some crack, or I want some liquor, or I want a ton of women, then guess what? I want him to be damned. I just gave him a recipe to go to hell, according to the scriptures and the ayats and the schools of thought that's out there. When you want all that stuff, man, it ain't of God. And if it ain't of God, it's of the world. So therefore, your punishment is damnation. It's hell. That's just the bottom line. It ain't nothing that's got to do with, I didn't make it up. I went through the same thing. God spared me. He spared me and gave me an opportunity to redo my life. Though my life is on rewind and redoing. My life, I want to be with the very source in which I came from, which is the Creator God. Period. Ain't no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Whether you like it or don't like it, that's where I want to be. And I want all of you all to be the same way. I want to spread this so y'all can have an opportunity to say, God, please forgive me along with me. Forgive me. Give me an opportunity to make this right, God Almighty. I need this. I don't want to go to that hellfire. Save me from the torment of the grave and the punishment of hellfire. That's my prayer every single day. At least 5 times a day. And anything in between. Because see, Satan, guess what? He's outworking us. It's just like we on the basketball court. May the best man win with Satan kicking our butts. Satan is kicking our butts because we don't understand that word love. One of the reasons. This is the Glenn Cobbin Sr. One Heartbeat podcast. And we're predicated and founded on the premise of animals, human, and nature coexisting. Sponsored by Destiny of Hope, helping our people excel. And also, Limbs Limo LLC, owner Brandon Lewis Cobbins. Okay, we'll go to the next thing. Well, we really do. Look, this is something about my podcast. If you listen to one, you listen to them all, because one thing that I predicate all of them on, the one thing that I hinge all of them on is respect and loyalty and integrity and all these positive words. And believe me, I'm working on me. So don't act like I got all the answers, because I'm willing to sit down and dialogue with whoever got any kind of comment or anything they can say that would help me further my cause. And, I've been sending my YouTube channel out to different people. I hope y'all are sharing it, subscribing to it, put the notification bells on, because I'm going to keep trying to do this, because I believe this is what my Creator got me doing. I love y'all, man. I love y'all, and I can say it now. I can hug my son. I can hug my brother. I can look my brother in the eye and tell him I love him now. I couldn't do that when I was out there packing them guns. When I was packing them guns and whoremongering and fornicating and prostitution and gambling and all that stuff, man, it was hard. I love you, man. I love you, man. With no expression. Now, I can look you in your eye and tell you sincerely that I love you. I love you. I want what's best for you. I can do that now. I couldn't do that. I got a partner, man. I got a partner, man. I'm gonna tell y'all a story, man, because this goes on with what's, with what things happen in my life. This is part of my life I'm getting ready to share with you. I was in prison the first time, and don't worry about the static. I can handle myself pretty good. Plus, I'm smart. You know what I mean? That's it got in my brain. But I couldn't find my woman one night. And so I'm on the phone talking and bitching and moaning and all these things right here, and I can't find her. I have my sister to go try to find her, and I can't find a man, and she's doing this, that, and the third, and that's okay, man. And it's okay. Now, it wasn't okay then. So that night, man, I cried like a little baby, and that's the truth. I mean, tears coming out of these eyes right here because I was so hurt. My pride is gone. My strength as a man is gone, and I'm crying like a little girl, man, in the penitentiary. But believe you me, don't nobody want to get in my way, though, because, even though I'm crying like a little girl, I'll fight you like a grizzly. so, so the next day, my little partner, man, and I love him to this day, Lawrence Johnson. I said, hey, man, guess what happened to me last night? So I was telling him about it, man. I was calling around trying to find my girl, and I couldn't find her, man. And it just hurt my heart. And I said, all kind of thoughts go through your head. Oh, she was this guy. She don't want me no more. She done did me like this, that, and the third. Ain't taking blame for nothing, right? I'm not accountable for anything. And so I said, man, I cried like a little girl, man. And Lucky told me one thing. Hey, man, it takes a man to cry. Did that make me feel better? Hell no. Not at that particular time. But when he kept explaining himself, because Lucky's a smart individual, man. What's up, Lucky? I'm the man. You my guy, bro. But anyway, so I got to think about what it meant. So we kept talking, kept dialoguing. He said, man, let me tell you something. Everybody that came in these bars and cried, man. If God created any of them, they didn't shed a tear. I said, man, okay. I took that, and that helped me with my emotional state. They helped me come out of my man box. But I eventually found my girl, you know what I mean? And lo and behold, whatever happened just happened, but that's the past. But what I'm saying to y'all is that we have to show love and compassion to one another, whether we be male or whether we think we tough or all that other stuff, man. Who was tougher than me? Who was tougher than me? I didn't even want to fight the people in the neighborhood because that was easy. Fighting them police is what I did. I fought cops, man. So who was tough? But I was also stupid. I was stupid, man. And I should have never did all that, but it happened and made me a better person today, I believe. And they're here to protect and serve, And back then, when they shot me and beat me, it wasn't no protecting and serving nothing. They better protect themselves from me. You know what I mean? So, and that's where it was. And, this is part one to what love got to do with it. Because I had mentioned that at the beginning about, being shot and all these things going on and the most oppressed people. But we have to stick together. The family, this how this is supposed to work, in my opinion. I'm going to say this before I end this podcast. Every culture needs to start with their own culture to show love. And to me, every culture is doing that except the black people, the so-called black people, the Asiatic people. That's who we really are, Asiatic, Moorish Americans. Oh, excuse me. So anyway, regardless, they call us black, let's call ourselves black. That's okay. We know what it means, and we ain't worry about that. Not this time. Well, we'll get to the bottom of why we should or shouldn't call ourselves black or whatever. But we'll say the darker skinned people or the black people, okay? We're also supposed to start with ourselves loving one another and loving ourselves first, okay? And then spreading ourselves abroad. Does that separate us? No, it does not. But God's word is what we're going by now. God said charity starts at home and then spreads itself abroad. So if we can love ourselves first, well, we can love anybody that looks different from us, but got fingers and hands and skin and eyes and teeth and all the other, the essentials to be a human being or an animal or nature. But we're talking about human beings now. So we love ourselves, black man. It's easier to love those who don't look like us. You understand what I'm saying? So look me in the eye every day and tell yourself. Look yourself in the eye every day, or you can look me in the eye and tell me, I love me. I love me. I love me. Okay? You need to look yourself and say that. And then when you're trying to love a person that you're in a relationship with, whether it be your mother, your brother, your sister, your cousin, the store owner, or your neighbor, or the one, your significant other, you can look them in their eye and be honest about saying with affection and feeling so they can know you're real, man. And then show it in public. You show your spouse or your whoever you're in a relationship with in public, because that's what they want to do. Behind closed door, we can become Casanova, but we need to be Valentino out there. We need to be Valentino out in public and Casanova behind the sheets, right? And behind them closed doors. So what I'm saying is this right here: show it in the public just like you would behind the sheets, man, behind the closed door. That's all I'm saying. Love her, I love him, I love them outside as well as inside. That's all I'm saying, y'all. That's all I'm saying. You have to love yourself. We have to stop hurting one another. We have to stop shooting at each other. We have to stop fighting. We have to stop being jealous of one another. This is time for this over. Then whenever, it's like then when somebody die, it's like we closer than close. We ain't close. We should be close before we get to the funeral. That way we ain't got to go to them funerals we've been going to. I don't go to them no more. Sick of them. We need to love one another while we're alive. You need to take the advice from your parents while you're living. And I'm talking to my kids first and foremost. Give me my roses now. Don't come to my funeral and act like you all sad and crying and I miss you, miss me, and I miss you. You don't miss me. You don't have to miss me. If you know God the way that you should know, the way you should know God, you don't have to miss me. You will be in my life right now. Period. I'm talking to all my kids first. And then I'm talking to my community first. I'm talking to my brothers and sisters, my mother right now. My cousin, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews. Talking to them right now. Love me while I'm breathing on this side of the earth. Don't come to my funeral, if I happen to have one. Don't come to my funeral acting like, oh, Glenn, I miss him. Oh, man, please. Time out for that. We got to love now, man. Love the way God wants us to love, yo. All right. That sounds good, don't it? To me, it does. Hey, this is the Glenn Cobbin Sr. One Heartbeat Podcast, sponsored by Destiny of Hope, helping our people excel. And also, Limbs Limo LLC. I can be reached anytime at 573-268-5192. And my email address is gcobbinsr2@gmail.com. Hey, Heavenly Humans, One Heartbeat Podcast is signing off. Peace and plenty of love.